Hey, Valdosta. This is Let's Talk Valdosta podcast, and I am Shara, and I'm joined here with my co-host Marcus, and we have two amazing guests today, Richard Hardy and Anthony Musgrove. Hi, guys. How are you all doing?
Well, doing very good. It's a great day. It's Friday, so looking forward to a good weekend. Headed out of town next week, so for a summit, so all is good.
Same here. I'm glad it's Friday.
I think we're all glad it's Friday because we didn't have much of a weekend last week.
That's right.
Right. So we wanted to first congratulate your department for Public Works. I believe that just won an award. And did you want to tell us about that award where you received the award in Jekyll Island a couple weeks ago?
Sure. We received the award for our transit system in Valdosta. And it has been a great feature for the city to add for our citizens to utilize. It's been a good economic compact. I mean, where everyone can get to work that might not have the ability, maybe a car's broke down or something like that. Mm-hmm. So it's been a real good tool.
And so much so that you all had to extend your hours because it's only been a year. We celebrated a year of the Valdosta On Demand transit system in April, but since then you've already seen an increase in the desire for more transportation, more extended hours, things of that nature. Can you guys expand on that?
Yeah, and that was one of the reasons for the decision to expand the hours. There were a great amount of requests for service, prior to 6 a.m. in the morning. So looking at all that data, working with VIA's got a great database that highlights and very predictive on when some of the services will be requested. So utilizing that data, putting all that information to account, and adding, increasing the hours, really is going to help the individuals that need to get to work at that early time in the morning.
Now, in addition to increasing the hours, we also have more vehicles than we started out with. And I guess talk a little bit about how that helps the riders, that there's more vehicles and there's more time for them to ride.
Sure, yes. I mean, once again, when we first started this, we had no idea. We had some data, but it really didn't depict what type of demand that we were going to service. So we were looking at around 19,000 trips. I mean, that was annually. We surpassed that the first year with over 88,000 trips. So the demand is there, the need for transportation. So moving forward, looking at the demand, the request for rides that not available, we had to do something. So there was some funding that was available to help offset some of the costs. So putting 3 more additional vehicles on the route helped with that. However, the demand, we put those vehicles there. However, that demand still has started to increase again. So
yeah. We started out with 6 or 7 vehicles.
It was 7.
It was 7, and we now have 10. Right. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And I guess, can you talk about how many rides a day are we seeing?
Well, just yesterday I pulled the numbers, and they completed 426 rides of yesterday. And since we've added those additional vehicles, it has increased probably 130 rides.
Wow.
Addition, added. We were generating around 3. Now it's a little over 400.
Wow. That's awesome.
And the requested rides yesterday, we had like 948 requested rides.
Wow.
So out of, that, you see the need. And just kind of over this month from the beginning, the total ride request is 17,893. Yeah. So that's just, everyone calling to request.
But we're all limited. Everything's limited. You can, if there was a endless pot of money, we could have enough vehicles to.
That's right.
But, that's not the way the world works.
Right. I mean, if we put 20 vehicles on the route, the demand is going to increase, and but we're trying to make sure that we can service the individuals that truly don't have transportation, that truly need to get to some of those specialized appointments, whether it is to a job, whether it's to a job interview, doctors, school, things of that nature. So we're not trying to let individuals just park their car in their garage and provide them a means to go to work, but we're trying to help the individuals that don't have that definitely has a transportation need.
Yeah, that individual that has no vehicle whatsoever.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're not trying to be New York subway system.
We're not.
But we talk about that, and the majority of people, if you look at the analytics and statistics that I've seen, are using these vehicles to get to work. And that has to be a huge economic impact. I mean, I wish we could get somebody to do a study on that, but
Right.
that has to be a huge economic impact for the city of Valdosta.
Yes, and we had a grad student started working that, taking all that information, looking at all that what they call the heat map, where the routes originating from, where the individuals, the end destination. So that's a good point. We're going to look at that, make sure we work with that student, and hopefully we get some good data out of it.
Now, we won this award in Jekyll Island. I'm sure we were up against some pretty stiff competition. But tell us a little bit about, getting the chance to receive that award and being awarded for this program that you guys have been so involved with over the last 2 years.
Yeah, APWA. This was a APWA small city rural community category, and that's one of the things for transportation. That's one of the things it concentrated on. What type of project, whether it's an actual program that's dealing with the transportation needs, an actual transit program, highways. So yes, it was stiff competition, but Valdosta on Demand, microtransit, something that's completely new, something that's, the numbers itself, the impact that it's making to the community, the other cities that are looking to do things of this nature. We were fortunate enough, we had an article in the Reporter magazine that it did very well. It generated a lot of discussion. So, and a lot of interest from other cities of doing the same thing, based off of what type of service it provides. A lot of individuals initially, when we brought Valdosta on Demand to the city, individuals looking at, hey, we want a fixed route. We want the bus that individual knows the bus is going to show up at 9 o'clock and it drives around throughout the city taking individuals to their destination. And that sounds great. However, if you look at this program, you call in, it's going to come within a block or two of your residence, and it's going to take you pretty much a block or two of your destination versus you're riding around town on a bus waiting to be dropped off at another destination that may not be exactly where you want to go. So, it's not Uber, definitely not Uber or those type of programs, but it serviced the needs of the city.
But it's kind of a nice hybrid between the two.
It is.
Yeah. And this award was the Project of the Year, correct? I guess what does it say to our, I know we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, you and I, but what does it say to our citizens that we are awarded such a prestigious award?
It's in a short time.
Yeah, in the short period of time that we've had this program going on, just a little bit over a year.
Yeah, it's telling us, the citizens that the city is doing a lot of work. They're listening to some of their desires. It tells them that their council, the city manager, the mayor, that we're trying to be as innovative as possible, listening to their concerns, listening to their needs, and responding accordingly.
Did you all expect this type of feedback or response from the community with this transit system, or is this more of you guys exceeded those expectations?
To me, I would say yes. To me, it's exceeded everything because it was an unknown. I had no idea. I've never seen this type of system before. Now that we've got it in, and constantly getting calls, hey, how can I sign up? I mean, even when I was out with my wife, after hours we'd eat, you would hear people in the restaurants, hey, they would see the sign, they would see the van. Hey, I've got to get on that van. So the need and the desire's there. So that was a great tool that we were able to put out there for everyone to utilize.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you, anywhere that I'm at within the 35 square miles of the city, you see the vehicles. I arrived getting to work, from 6 o'clock and leaving sometimes 6, 7, and you see the vehicles out on the road. So people are using it. There is a need for this type of service, and people are definitely using it.
The other thing that's really awesome is that with the plan, you also were very intentional about keeping the cost down for citizens. Can you talk about what made you guys decide to make it $2 a ride?
I mean, that's pretty much the going rate. Some of the other cities. So we looked at that and compared it to what other cities was charging. Based on a round trip fare. And this is a grant funded program, so we're not trying to. This is not a money maker at no means for the city. We're trying to provide individuals that need transportation at a cost that they can afford if they utilize it 2, 3, 4, 5 times a week. Something so in line with the city council, the mayor, and the city manager, looking at all those things, taking the feedback from VIA itself, coming up with that cost construct on what would the fare be, what would the fare box be. So that led to the cost.
Now, VIA is the company that that provides the vehicles and the drivers and all that stuff that works with the city. How did we find VIA?
Well, we did a request for qualifications. We sent it out, and we had approximately, I think it was 4 other that submitted the request for qualifications. After an intense review of the package by the transit committee, interviewing them. I think we had about 7 individuals on the committee, and looking over the packages, we made the decision, and it has been ever since a very good decision. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard nothing but positive feedback from people who've talked to me about the drivers and the vans and all of that stuff. That they're clean, the drivers are good people, and every so often I have somebody call my office like, okay, how do we get a job with them? I was like, you got to contact VIA because guys, I don't think people understand the separation there that that their third party contracted through for the city. But yeah, so I've heard nothing but positive feedback from people who have used the service.
Right. And we get some of the same feedback about is it really the city vehicles or the. Yes, it is. We're turnkey operation that we contracted out to a third party. They provide all the drivers. They have on-site a fleet manager. They use local companies to service the vehicles, and we hire throughout the local community. Well, they hire throughout the local community for their drivers.
Yeah, and I know one of the most positive things that are one of the biggest contributions that we have in that relationship with VIA is the analytics they give you. And can you talk about where these rides are occurring and where people are going? It's all over the city, though. I mean, I think sometimes people would think about it's only happening in one area, but I see these vehicles everywhere.
It is. A lot of them's like just to the local grocery store. Some's to the schools, whether it be VSU or Valtech, doctor's offices. I mean, it's not just like centralized in one area like to the mall, which the mall does get a lot where, people can go and get their clothes or whatever they need. It's the map it's everywhere. It's looks like the blood veins. I mean, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
It's
So
not-
that needs not centralized.
Right.
It's the entire city there are people that live all over the city that
Right.
need this service.
Right. And one thing that I saw from the map that kind of blew my mind when we were looking at it is the request. There was people in Florida requesting. I don't know if they were looking to move here and, needing that. So even some in Alabama.
Wow.
So
That says a lot.
it does, because look how far away that is.
Mm-hmm.
And so the word's getting out, and I had just finished some training and with some other cities and everything, and I know some other cities was looking at doing this program, and they were looking at they had the fixed bus route, and they said, well, we're looking at driving this bus. Someone's just driving and nobody's riding it. And, we're looking at the cost there and the fuel and all of that.
Maintenance of the vehicle.
Maintenance and all of that. And so they were looking at maybe going to this form of, transit.
Well, I know I was at a conference in Columbus a couple weeks ago, and that I received a lot of questions about the transit and how they could implement it in cities that I thought may have already had something in place,
Right.
bigger cities. So I think Valdosta is definitely setting a trend that people are looking at mimicking, which is a good thing.
That's right.
I mean, yes, looking back at the award, pulling the data, you mentioned the statistics, the data that VIA provides on who's using it, where they're going. They do a very good job of that also. And not mistaken, it's over 50% of individuals, 48% that's for jobs. Then it breaks it down to school, medical. So they have all those the metrics that you need to make decisions off of it. The average ride, the average time they sit waiting on the individuals that book the ride. Anything that you can imagine, if they're not collecting it, and if you need it, they can do it. So to drive, to make it, and to make the process a whole lot better.
Yeah, and I know we were talking about the metrics and everything, and just this month we have had a total of 7,669 completed rides. That's a
Just
lot.
in August.
Just in August.
Wow.
That was of yesterday.
Yeah, I remember that the regional commission, not long after I started here years ago, they did a pilot program, and those numbers were like nowhere near what we're actually getting. And I don't know if the difference was because people didn't know about the pilot program or what, but now we appreciate all the information that they can give us.
Yeah.
But it wasn't what we expected once this program started.
Right.
Right, and that's what I was stating earlier. We got a lot of data from that, and that was a good source. But we really didn't get the demand until it was out there, and of course, the cost plays a big role. The availability plays a big role, and they just have very good clean vehicles. They're in good shape, and it's not like a normal public transportation. I mean, it is more like if you think about it, you use your app, you pick up the phone, you walk to your virtual stop, and your transportation is there. You get dropped off at another virtual stop, you reschedule, and to go anywhere else you want within the confines of the city of Valdosta. So, very good service.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else you would like to add about the Valdosta On Demand Transit and what that means to the community?
We're just going to try to continue giving everybody the availability there to get a ride.
Yeah, and as we, like I said, as we move forward, as we plan to look at what we're doing today, how can we make it better? We like feedback. There's no such thing as bad feedback. We use feedback to make decisions. So, and we'll take that feedback and take a look at it and see how we can make it better for our citizens.
Yeah, and for anybody that's listening that needs to use the Valdosta On Demand service, they can download the app at the App Store or Google Play. Download it right to your phone, schedule your ride, or do it on demand, which is what we prefer to you to do.
That's right.
And those rides are available for you. What time? 5:30
to 9 at night.
5:30 to 9, Monday through Friday.
Right. And that's the thing. I mean, we get requests, why don't we do it on the weekends? Why don't we do it after 9? And, the things, when you look at it, there's a increased opportunity. There's a more availability, more access to people if they need rides, whether it's from family members throughout the weekends or after 9 that they may not have during the day. And, we take, very, very hard look at, when do we need to provide transportation? And that's the thing. When is it more likely that an individual cannot get transportation? And those are hours that we came up with.
Okay. Now, and I know we've talked a lot about Valdosta On Demand here, but also at the APWA, we had an Employee of the Year award. I'd like you to give y'all a chance to brag on Gary there a little bit.
Right. We've had one of our employees through the right-of-way division. He got nominated for Employee of the Year for outstanding service throughout his career here. He does a phenomenal job of keeping downtown neat and clean and tidy. A lot of times, everyone, like around certain seasonal times, you see the Christmas decorations and everything like that. Well, he's the man.
Yeah, Gary Turner.
Yes, Gary Turner. He gets everything in place and gets it all ready and makes sure that everything is put up correctly and for everyone to enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, the city has some great employees. There's a lot of more employees that could win these awards. Gary just, we had individuals, the business owners downtown. I mean, they made it easy, when we asked about Gary. So a lot of their information on what he provided every day to their services helped write the award. The information that we got from Main Street, Gary, firsthand did a lot of work keeping downtown on point. So Gary's done a lot of great things, and by doing that, the citizens downtown really appreciate him maintaining and keeping the area presentable.
Well, thanks again, Anthony and Richard Hardy, for the time. I know you guys are both very busy, and we are honored to have you guys here on the podcast and continue the great work and leadership that you both provide to our community.
Thanks for having us.
Yes.
Let's Talk Valdosta is a presentation of the City of Valdosta's communications team. You can download this episode and previous episodes on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Follow the City of Valdosta's social media accounts to learn about future episodes.